How would you describe the current situation for Taiwan's offshore wind energy industry?
Well, I would say the whole situation is pretty stagnant. Um, you have to remember that the wind industry in Taiwan, the offshore wind industry, is basically President Tsai Ing-wen's baby. I think she really bet big on the offshore wind industry, and as a way of weaning Taiwan off nuclear energy. As you probably know, the last reactor is scheduled to close in May. So she and the solar is somewhat limited in Taiwan because we're such a small island and 70% of it is mountainous. So offshore wind seemed like the bulk source of renewable energy that she could um, say will fill the hole that nuclear is leaving behind. Fortunately, it hasn't really worked out like that. Everything's been slower than expected, and it's been much more problems, and it's also been very, very expensive, and the costs are escalating.
Given the problems facing this sector, how realistic do you think Taiwan's green energy goals are?
It's really funny that we have these really ambitious wind energy goals. In general, these really ambitious renewable energy goals, and those goals, they get more ambitious all the time. The goals, ambitions are getting raised year by year. But if you look at our actual emissions going all the way back to 2005, we've just been treading water. It's higher on some years, it's lower on other years, but there hasn't been any consistent downward movement.
Taiwan once saw huge green energy deals by the likes of chip giant TSMC as tech companies like Google, Microsoft, and Apple pledged to have a carbon neutral supply chain. Is this still a driver for green energy in tech hub Taiwan?
A lot of organizations have been quietly dropping their obligations to climate in terms of carbon reduction. A lot of tech companies have been doing that. Even before Donald Trump was elected, by the way, they've been doing it ever since it became obvious that artificial intelligence is going to be way more energy intensive than anybody anticipated. And they also came to the realization, as we all have now, that it's kind of the biggest game in the world when it comes to tech. So let's just say that the seriousness of their commitments is no longer unshakable.